Hey, thanks for checking out another video in the Photoshop for Beginners tutorial series from the digitalphotography.review.com. Today we're going to talk about brushes, clone stamp tool, and gradients to remove something from an image. Gradients you won't use too much, but in this specific situation, it was actually better to use than using a brush. But we still do use brushes, and it's a really nice, easy way for you to have an introduction to these tools. So here, this is the final product right here, and this is the original image. So we just removed this tree, and as you can see, there's a lot of colors in the sky that blend together, so it makes it really difficult to just use a brush. What I originally did, I'm just going to delete these layers, start from scratch. What I originally did is I created a new layer. I pressed B for my brush tool. I had the hardness at 0, which makes the brush soft. If you have the hardness at 100%, it's going to make the brush very hard. So I tend to take the brush down to 0. Obviously, there's situations where you're going to have it a little bit harder, but I tend to take it down to 0 so you get a nice soft edge. And in this case, I have my opacity of my brush at 50%. Which makes it look like this. If I have it at 100%, just paints on the color fully. So what I originally did is I created my layer, I had my brush at whatever, 50%, and I was like, oh, I'll just paint it out. And I started doing this, and I did it, and you realize, there's just too many colors to try and blend in to follow the gradient of this sky. So there's a better way to do it, to get started anyway. So what I did is I selected my top color as something up here, clicked on this, selected my bottom color. This eyedropper comes up automatically, and selected a bottom color down here. And then what you want to do is define your space where you're actually going to put the gradient. So you come up here and select the square marquee tool. I'm going to select just up until the top of the grass there of this sky. Obviously, you won't be able to do this on most image removal situations, but for this sky, it works really perfectly. Make sure you're on your empty layer, then select the gradient tool. Just click and drag, and that fills the sky with that gradient. And then Command D to deselect. Then what I did is I created a layer mask, and this is something that's really, really key when you're doing any kind of photo editing. Actually, it can be applied to a whole ton of different situations. So you come down here to the layer mask button, turn that on, and as you can see, it's changed my colors over here back to the default black and white. And that's because if I have a black brush selected, it's going to reveal the image, okay? And if I have a white brush selected, it's going to conceal the image. And that's the basic principle of layer masking. It's a really, really powerful tool, and it also allows you to edit your images non-destructively. So you can always just disable the layer mask right there and it'll turn it off. So what I did is I put on my layer mask, I got my brush, made it black, turned the opacity down a little bit more, opacity, whatever. And then I remembered there was a cloud here, so I just very carefully, I just revealed, well, I mean, not too carefully, just revealed that cloud and a little bit of the space around it. And then I created a new layer, and it'll automatically go back to the colors you had before, but that doesn't matter now. And I got my brush tool and I selected a color really, really close to my cloud just to blend it in a bit. just so you can't see. And when you're looking at all these different colors, your eyes really start to play tricks on you anyway. So that works to your advantage if you're doing something like this. And then I come back to my layer mask, and I'm actually going to reveal. We can actually turn opacity up a bit because I want this to show quicker. There was that cloud up here, and I just revealed that. Just a little too much of that blue showing, so I switch back to my white brush and just brush that in. So that's there. We got that cloud there. There's a bit of variance in the gradient so it doesn't look so stagnant. There's also this hard edge down here. We can fix that. H for the hand tool, so you can easily just drag your image around when you're zoomed in. And Command plus to zoom in. There should be a link below so you can actually download a list of must-know keyboard shortcuts for Photoshop. And then what we'll do is we'll just grab a new layer, because it's always more layers the better, to be honest. And then switch back to the brush. Probably turn the hardness up for this, maybe 50%. Turn the size up to maybe 40 pixels should be good. And then we're just gonna sample this color. And just get rid of that hard edge. Another good tip, actually, if you're using a brush, if you want to make a straight line with a brush, is to click it where you want it once, hold shift, go to where you want it to end, and just click again, and it'll automatically create a perfectly straight line. Okay, so we fixed that hard edge, we've done the sky, now we need to remove this little stump. So I'm going to Command plus to move in, and I'm going to use the hand tool to drag over by pressing H. So now we're going to use the clone stamp tool. And that's right up here. The shortcut is S. And this is a little more tricky. When you're sampling, so what this does is it samples a piece of the image and allows you to paint it somewhere else, either on the original image or on a new layer. So I forget if we just made a new layer. Anyway, layer 14 will be our new layer. So what I want to do is continue this hard line here across that stump to remove it. So what we're going to do is select our clone stamp tool, probably make the hardness 40%. Oops, 40%. And yeah, that size looks pretty good. So, and what we want to do is you want to hold down the option key, and you'll get this little crosshair circle, and you want to select right here because you want that hard line. And then move back up to layer 14, our empty layer, click right there, and it's going to paint that in for us. If you go too far, it starts sampling the original wood in that image, so we don't want that, but we don't need to go any further than that. But it might be a good idea actually to paint one extra one in. Sometimes just a little more fake can somehow make it seem all that more real. And then in this case, to get rid of the rest of that, I'll actually just go back to my brush, make it a bit smaller. I will hold down Alt to color sample. Just paint that out, the rest of that tree stump. And there you go. Tree's gone. Command minus to zoom out. And there you go, we've removed that whole tree. And if we turn those off, there it is. So you learned how to use layer masks, which again is this, and if we actually right click and disable that, that cloud will go away. That's the beauty of layer masks. And you can just imagine how many situations you'd be able to apply that in. Photo editing, removal, stuff like this. Pretty much any situation in Photoshop, you're going to be able to use this layer mask. And then we used brushes to reveal this, or to blend it in a little bit more. We used brushes down here, and all we did was sample the color by clicking Alt, holding Alt and clicking to sample that color, and it will show up right there. And we also use the clone stamp tool. Again, you click on the image where you want to sample from, hold down Alt, find the place you want to sample from, and then either apply it on the original image or on a new layer. Always want to work on new layers. And don't forget, for the layer mask, black will reveal and white will conceal. So there you go. That's a bit of new information for you. Hopefully you can take that away and apply it to a whole bunch of other projects that you have going on, or stuff that you want to just do for fun, and really just have fun with it. Just mess around and do whatever, and make some cool images and try some stuff out. So anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I really appreciate it. Make sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on any new ones, and so that you get notified when I post a new video. And as always, if you have any questions or want a specific tutorial made about something in Photoshop or Premiere Pro or After Effects, just let me know, and send me an email or post a comment, and I'll make that tutorial for you and post it on this channel. So make sure to subscribe, and thanks again for watching.